Good morning. It is so wonderful to see so many familiar faces. And as we go through this very, very quickly, I really am here to tell you that it's all the work that everybody sitting in these chairs that has done that's even continued to bring any of us into this room today. I want to talk a little bit about what we've done in the past, where we are, and then there's going to be discussions about future. Just in terms of the program committee, I was really honored to be asked chair this year. I really want to acknowledge Rebecca Penzer-Hick, Sheila Ryan, who's going to be one of our moderators, and Carrie Wingfield, who can't be here today, in terms of how we went through the abstract process and the submissions. We were pretty surprised to have almost 100 people respond to this calling. We had more responses than we have people in the room right now, but I think over the years, to see these things grow, it's really wonderful. I want to thank Susan McGuire and her daughter Rachel. You'll see that this being recorded. I think one of the things that we've worked hard over the years, even when the audience have been small, in past meetings, Dr. Urser had arranged for similar things where things could be videoed and put online. So there will be ways to share this and for some of this to be acknowledged. And of course, to acknowledge that the BDNG, the British Dermatology Nursing Group, and the Dermatology Nurses Group in the US, who you'll meet some of these individuals as well throughout the day, really took it upon themselves to get the rooms in order, pay for the room fees, do the organization, and I don't think we can say enough about what it takes to continue to organize. But I don't have to say that because everyone in this room has been doing this for their countries, or you wouldn't even be sitting here today. I know you know what it took to do it. I want to first thank the previous board members from the International Skincare Nursing Group, and half of the people are in this room, and the first thing I want to say is half of these slides are theirs. As Stephen and Barbara, you look at these slides, you're going to see just a brief moment of history of sort of where we've been with international nursing going through. But back in 1989, we're now celebrating our 20th year of actually at least having a presence at a meeting like this, to be at the World Congress of Dermatology, to have nurses continuing to fight how we're going to register. That's a whole story as we go forward, but to be acknowledged as an official sister society and for nursing to continue to be asked to be at the table is a really important piece. I have to acknowledge Dr. Stephen Urser. He and Jill are going to be our first speakers this morning, but he spent 20 to 25 years really carrying this along with a group of people, and I've just listed out some of us who really did this for a 20-year stint, which was Dr. Stephen Urser, Corinne Ward, Arne Longen, Barbara Page, who's sitting in the audience, Susan McGuire, Pat Kelly, our South African colleague who's not with us today, but Vineet Kaur. Rebecca has been here since the beginning, and I'll show you what a little bit of the beginning looks like. And most of you who are in Europe know Lynn Stone's name. The Australian group had not been, as I see them sitting in the room, on the board, but they certainly have been a big part of this as I show you their logo. When I think about all the aims that all our different society, they all meld together. I'm not going to read you the aims for dermatology worldwide, but each one of our national organizations have taken on these same sort of pieces, and these were just a few of the logos. These aren't all. And I think, Susan, are these slides going to be available to the people in the room as well? So as people are taking pictures and wondering, all of this is going to be made available to you. Somehow there's going to be links. Like I said, it's being recorded. And I'm also happy to get this presentation to anybody in the room who wants any pieces of this. Internationally, we've been attending each other's meetings for many, many years, and this is a picture of Susan and Barbara back in 2005 in New Orleans with Edna Atwater, Robin Weber, who's no longer with us, and myself, along with a whole group of other people. But we've been sharing our stories and sharing our relationships and our registrations and our curriculums for many years. The JDNA had an issue, and I put this on here as a reference back in 2012, and this is still available through the journal. But if you ever need to reference this kind of political work, this was a huge piece of, if you look, everybody's name there, Barb's name's there, Rebecca, and Nina MacDonald wrote the piece. This was all related to British, the work in Vancouver. This is now our 5th World Congress with an official presentation. The first one was Paris, then there was Buenos Aires, then there's Seoul, then many of you who are here today were actually with us in Vancouver. So, you know, I think a great tradition has started, and we're going to work hard to continue to do this. Now, as I look back in the room, you know, we started working together with the Australian group way back in 2005. I've had the great pleasure of being there twice, so has Stephen. Their core curriculum is as established as anyone's in the world. And it's just so nice to see that work. We've been to Malta together. We were in India in 2006. We were all at the World Congress in Buenos Aires. This was just the committee presentation in Seoul, and we will put the presenters together at some point today. And then there really have been some huge strides in terms of the presentations and the scholarly work that dermatology nursing continues to be asked. Community dermatology was one of the few things in your bag, if you guys have seen what you've gotten this time. And so we were the lead story on that back in 2012 under Steve and Rebecca's work that we did back then. And a lot of this goes back to the work that we did initially with the World Health Organization and the Regional Dermatology Training Center in Tanzania, which is still operating and running, and lots of great relationships continue to exist. Then we've all been to South Africa. They've had a huge contingency and a strong working relationship with their physician colleagues. And then it was a smashing success in Vancouver, and I'm happy to say, seeing the number of people we have in the room today and some people that we're putting together in a forum tomorrow, you know, Vancouver was an incredible milestone again for us in terms of having a one-day scientific program and then a huge leadership summit. And again, you can't even, but half of you are in this picture. And, you know, hard to pick it out as we go through it. But in 2015, these were the formal names of the organizations in nursing that were there to represent us. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. I was just digging through notes as I was putting this little presentation together, just to remind us all where we've been. But again, I'm reminding you where you've been over these many years, because we've done this together. And then I've had the great pleasure, I was in 2016, Samuel and Maria Helena invited me to keynote their meeting, and what a rousing success. I had no idea that it would be a room of hundreds of people with an official translating booth, and just a fabulous event. And so I just see where all of us have worked and been to through all these years. And I'm so proud of the group, the work that people have done. Dermatology nursing continues to have 2 internationally recognized and available journals through the British Dermatology Nursing Group. Their journal has been there since 1987. We actually launched one journal within the Derm Nurses Association back in 1989 that's still referenced on PubMed. And then now we have the JDNA. That was launched in 2009 and doing well, and we have lots of opportunities for people to reach out for these kind of materials. The other thing is the work. You know, when we all started this, there weren't textbooks on dermatology nursing, and through the DNA group in the United States, we're in the 3rd edition of our core curriculum that I had the pleasure to edit in 2016 through the work of many people. It was a 25 to 30 chapter book, and it's just really around core curriculum. And it really looks very similar to the work that Steve Urser and Rebecca Penzer did back in 2010 when you look at their Principles of Skincare book. And I think just to recognize the number of people that contribute, and Scotland's, my goodness, what they've done with their National Health Society and things that you don't even see that go through government agencies is so prominent. The kind of work that it's my dream that continues as I step down from these things and pass the torch to people is we did these international guidelines. This was a piece that the ISNG really led that was published twice in 2007 and 2009 in association with the BDNG. But our physician colleagues are publishing these kind of consensus papers all the time. And it's my hope that nursing really has that opportunity to again take the next step forward to figure out how we do this. And there's so many things to work from. I mean, this was Polly Buchanan's slide a couple years ago, so Susan and Rebecca, forgive me if there's more than 21 now, but these were the 21 listed standards that they had nationally published for Europe. And again, those are available, and there are guidelines in the states that are aware of these and form from them, and so many pieces for all of us to use and work from as we go forward. There's a little article that I just did to kick off this meeting and all of your attendance, just to announce this in the Journal of the Dermatology Nurses Association, and I brought copies enough to give everyone today. We would have printed programs if we would have thought ever that they weren't printing them in the book, that you picked up that big fat registration book and we thought it would be there. But there's a couple articles that I've printed, this one and my clinical talk that we brought to share with you today. And so sort of in closing this piece, I would just remind you that we're really all working towards the same thing, and really recognize what you've done for specialty and international recognition. As an academic in the United States, I'm an associate professor at the University of Colorado. It's taken a dermatology nursing a long time to be nationally and internationally recognized, but I can tell you that it truly is. We now have people really being sought out related to how we participate in academia, how we work in service, how we work in so many, and I just wish people well as we continue to set our goals going forward. And this is my plug at the end, just to tell you that the American Academy of Dermatology and the Dermatology Nurses Association, they do their annual convention together most years, and they're doing it again in March, this coming March, and it happens to be in my home city, and I owe many of you a visit. You have hosted us, and I am only hoping and making it, and if you all showed up in this room, I'd actually find a place for you. But I just want to tell you that I hope that maybe if you get there that we can do some planning and look forward to that.